For cheap and reliable MT, head over to aoa.com and use coupon code JACOB for 3% off. Hey guys, it is Jacob back here today. I apologize if I sound kind of tired. I just got done running. Didn't really plan on making a video today. I'm getting ready to watch this game and go to bed. But I feel like this needs to be talked about because, of course, if you guys have been paying attention to my team's Twitter page, we did get ourselves a little sneak preview at what is going to come tomorrow. And that is out of position 4, it looks like, with point guard Tracy McGrady, point guard Poku, Turkoglu, and who else they announced? Point guard Rudy Gay. So that's going to be our 4th out of position set. I mean, it's not 100% confirmed. What is confirmed is we're getting a point guard Rudy Gay, T-Mac, and Poku. So it's pretty safe to assume it will be out of position 4. There's some odd chance they name it fan favorites too and just give those guys positions. But this has kind of sparked up a little bit of a conversation on Twitter that I would like to talk about. And that's just about if position locks are really relevant in my team anymore. And I'm not sure if this is an unpopular opinion or not, but I think they're crucial. I think they play a huge factor. I think that they are incredibly meaningful. I don't care if it's a purpose of lining 2K's pockets or not. I think it's the best thing that they've added in the past 2-3 years or whatever. I do. I think it's more important than even like level 40 XP. I think it's incredibly important for the gameplay. And let me explain to you guys why. So for one, last year glitch cards were technically able to be out of position. Like we got a point guard LeBron that was glitched, a Ben Wallace small forward that was glitched, and then we got out of positions. This first out of position pack right here did not come until after Radioactive. This was in like April. It was in like April when this out of position 1 pack came. Do you guys realize how much time is between the time this game comes out and April? September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. That's like 8 months of not having to worry about out of position cards. Literally like 66% of the year you don't have to worry about running into Grant Hill at point guard. And granted, this first set right here, the only person, I guess Shoki Noah, but like he doesn't really count because he sucked. The only person that like really wasn't a point guard was Chris Webber, because in the sense that like Ben Simmons is kind of a point guard, in the sense that LeBron is like kind of a point guard, Grant Hill was the same way. He was like one of the first point forwards in the league. And then Kobe, like, saying he's a point guard isn't that big of a deal. The dude's 6'6". So it really wasn't until like here when we started getting like Josh Smith at point guard, Boogie, Bird, all these guys at point guard, when things really got out of hand. And like at this point, it doesn't really matter where the positions are anyways, because if you don't come out with these cards, like it's not long before you get this card. And then if you get this card, there's no other option to counter this other than to run Ben Simmons. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all for that reason alone. But the bigger reason, which is kind of like circling back to what I was saying earlier, is that during this point in time of the year, when these are the cards you're running, you don't have to worry about, I mean, like you can use short point guards. And even when you get to this point in the year, when it's 250K season, you can use short point guards. Gary Payton, D Wade. I mean, Luka's decently tall. People are running Lonzo or whatever, but like, you know, if you want to use a tall point guard, you're using a tall point guard with a 55-3. If it wasn't for position locks, this would be like my 250K lineup or whatever if I was playing in the tournament. Obviously, I didn't. If it wasn't for position locks, like, I'm going to go ahead and like, say the bench was my starting lineup. I'd run Giannis at the 1, Hondo would stay there because he's Hondo, and then I'd probably put like AD at the 3 with like Moses at the 4 and like, or whatever. You get what I'm saying? Like Giannis would have played the 1. Like he would have played the 1 for a lot of people in 250. So Like, I just don't get where people are saying like position locks are meaningless. Position locks play a very vital role in the game up until it's so late in the year that all of the competitiveness of the game is just gone anyways. It's simple as that. Like, people in 250 were running D Wade. You know, Lonzo was very popular, but Lonzo wasn't out when people were qualifying for the most part. When people were qualifying, you know, for like season 1 cards, they had to use dudes like Diamond John Stockton and Pink Diamond Curry. And if there was no position locks, like, dudes probably would have just ran like this LeBron at the 1, or like Diamond Giannis at the 1. And yeah, it might be bad enough that you have to deal with the Giannis's and LeBrons, or Pokus or Rudy Gays at the 1 in July, but if it wasn't for position locks, we'd be dealing with that from day 1. People would have been running that Amethyst Giannis at point guard the day the game came out. But since there's position locks, people were running I don't even remember, Purple Steph, Bob Cousy, because if it wasn't for position locks, people would just use those types of cards. It would be from day 1, if you weren't 6'7", you don't make many lineups. But since there's position locks, it gives relevance to these short point guards like Gary Payton. I love this Gary Payton card, but when he came out, there was already like, I don't even remember exactly when Gary Payton came out, but there was already people out that would have played point guard over him if it wasn't for position locks. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to find an example of somebody and had like pretty good SIGs. It was kind of like released earlier in the year. Terry Dishlinger, a lot of people would have ran him at point guard if they had the ability to. I tell you that much. What about even bigger cards? You would have seen some people cheesing with this Pink Diamond Blake at point guard earlier in the year. I promise you would have. Especially because by season 2, dudes started to figure out how to burst pretty easily. People would have been bursting to the hoop with this Pink Diamond Blake running point guard. So I just think it's huge. I think it's huge. I think by the time that these out of position packs start hitting, I think by the time you start getting the AKs at the 1, or the Manute Bulls at the 2, or the Lamar Odoms at the 1, and Nick Batum's at the 1. By the time you start getting that stuff, like, the competitive scene is gone anyways, and it just kind of is what it is. I think that, like, DBG makes the point quite a bit that, like, he's a fan of how they release some of these cards because there's, like, counters to Ben Simmons, and I agree with that entirely, even as somebody who had Ben Simmons since the day he came out. And on top of all of that, it's very overrated having a tall squad, depending on how you play. A lot of people see people like Tydebo or whatever, or, you know, other people that like swing a lot on defense, use all these tall cards because they like that they're tall with long wingspans and have the ability to get in the lane. But if you want a 3 hunt, you're giving up something to do that. And now, yeah, I know that there's Bill Russell with Ray Allen base. You could probably run him at the 1 and all that kind of stuff, but I'm gonna use this Luka over Poku, even though I'd have the ability to get Poku, just because he has Exum base, and since he's a little bit shorter, his jump shot's a little bit faster than even someone taller with Exum base. So, like, hypothetically, you know, the longer wingspan you have, the longer it takes to shoot. So, yeah, I think like 6'7" is like the sweet spot for a point guard. But just think about last year and how many people used D Wade. Most of you guys really don't benefit from the things that you think you benefit from using tall lineups anyways. To be honest, I think a lot of people think that they benefit from using a tall lineup because it helps them play defense, but for one, on next gen, nobody's swinging, so that doesn't really matter. And shorter players move faster on defense, so it kind of cancels itself out on next gen. And on current gen, it's just like, you know, I watch a lot of current gen just on streams and stuff, and it's just a lot of people doing like respectfully like fake swings. Like I don't really know. Like it's not like they're you know, they're swinging, but they're really not they're not forcing as many turnovers as they might like to think they're doing it. And that's why, you know, people still, even on current, like there's still some 3 hunters out there. I was just watching him stream a minute ago, like he still runs Wade, you know. So yeah, I just don't think it's a big of it. I don't think that having tall lineups is as big of a deal as a lot of people make it out to be. And I also think that position locks are huge because I think that it's more important to have position locks and no out of position cards at the start of the game, because if you don't have position locks, say in like season 1, you get people that would run like LeBron at point guard, and there's not cards that you can counter that with that are shorter that would be released, like a Luka, if that makes any sense at all. Like I can get away with running this Luka even though he might be a little bit undersized, but that's because he has like every defensive badge on Hoth plus these defensive statistics. Where in season 1, if you take a season 1 typical point guard, like they're gonna get beat up on defense if you take like a small point guard and match them up with like a person who hypothetically can't play point guard in season 1, but if you were to get rid of position locks, could play there. If that makes any sense at all. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I just kind of wanted to talk about position locks a little bit and why I think that they actually really help the game, and I hope they stay forever. And not only that, I'm just not trying to see people use, like, I guess tomorrow it's like Poku comes in at point guard, but I'm not trying to see people like, yeah, I mean, it gets pretty fake tomorrow, that's for sure, when you get Poku at point guard, but I'm not trying to see people run like Bull at point guard. Because if there wasn't position locks, people would have been running that pink diamond Bull at point guard since like April. So yeah, you get what I'm saying a little bit. At least it's like mid-July now, so it's over with anyways. But if it wasn't for position locks, it would have been crazier all year long. So yeah, that's pretty much it.